The whir of the computer's fan was the only sound that cut through the dimly lit room, as Mark's eyes were fixed on the glowing screen. Curiosity had led him to the depths of the dark web, a place where the most peculiar and unsavory corners of the internet converged. He knew the risks, the stories of hackers, criminals, and other dark figures who frequented this hidden realm, but that only seemed to amplify the allure. The clock ticked past midnight when Mark's search led him to a mysterious forum, its layout stark and ominous. Threads with titles like Secrets Unveiled and Truth in the Shadows promised glimpses into the world's underbelly. One post in particular caught his attention: An Evening with the Enigmatic. The author claimed to be a connoisseur of secrets, offering to share disturbing anecdotes in exchange for a price. Intrigued, Mark sent a private message to the author, going by the username EyesWideShut. It didn't take long for a response to arrive, the tone cryptic yet inviting. They agreed to meet in a virtual chat room later that night. As the appointed hour approached, Mark's heart raced. He joined the chat room, greeted by a pixelated figure whose features were shrouded in shadows. Text filled the screen, each word dripping with a foreboding atmosphere. The conversation danced around chilling topics, unsolved mysteries, disappearances, and sinister encounters that defied logic. EyesWideShut's words held a macabre elegance, drawing Mark in like a moth to a flame. The tales unfolded like a nightmarish anthology. A man shared how he stumbled upon a website that displayed live feeds of seemingly mundane households, where occupants went about their lives oblivious to being watched. Another recounted an encounter with a hacker who claimed to have control over his webcam, recounting his daily routine in disturbing detail. Mark's pulse quickened, his unease growing with every story. Amidst the unsettling narratives, EyesWideShut hinted at something deeper, an exclusive gathering of like-minded individuals. A gathering that promised enlightenment, but at a steep price. Mark's skepticism battled with his morbid fascination, the allure of forbidden knowledge tugging at him like a riptide. Days turned into weeks as Mark's obsession with the dark web intensified. He dug deeper, connecting with other forum members, each more enigmatic and suspicious than the last. The line between the virtual and real world blurred, paranoia seeping into his consciousness. He noticed unusual cars parked near his apartment, strangers lingering in the shadows. Then came the night of the gathering. Mark followed cryptic instructions that led him to a derelict warehouse on the outskirts of town. Inside, he found a dimly lit room filled with individuals whose faces were obscured by masks and hoods. The air was thick with tension, a mixture of excitement and dread. EyesWideShut materialized, their presence commanding the room. They unveiled a screen, displaying images that made Mark's blood run cold, candid shots of his own life. His daily routines eerily mirrored. Panic gripped him, the realization sinking in that the stories he'd heard were not just tales, but a sinister reality. A spotlight illuminated EyesWideShut as they addressed the gathering, their voice a chilling whisper. They spoke of control, manipulation, and the power of information. Mark's mind reeled, the web of deception and paranoia tightening around him. He knew he had to escape, to sever the ties that bound him to this nightmarish world. Barely escaping the warehouse, Mark raced home, disconnecting from the dark web and erasing his digital footprint. But the feeling of being watched persisted, his mind haunted by the shadowy figures and their unsettling truths. Sleep became a distant memory as his life spiraled into a state of constant vigilance. Weeks turned into months, and Mark's appearance withered under the weight of his torment. He knew he couldn't escape the consequences of his curiosity. One fateful evening, as he glanced out his window, he saw them figures lurking in the darkness. A text notification chimed. A message from an unknown sender. The eyes are always watching. A faint hum of electricity filled the room as Sarah leaned over her laptop, her fingers dancing across the keyboard. The allure of the dark web had always beckoned to her, like a siren's call of forbidden knowledge. The screen glowed with hidden possibilities, and a shiver of excitement ran down her spine as she clicked her way into the depths of the digital abyss. Threads upon threads unraveled before her eyes, a virtual tapestry of the darkest human desires. But it wasn't the illicit wares or the illegal dealings that captivated her. It was the stories, the tales of encounters that dripped with unsettling uncertainty. She stumbled upon a thread titled Whispers of the Underground, and her curiosity was piqued. The thread was alive with cryptic conversations and eerie anecdotes. Users shared tales of encounters with enigmatic figures, people whose intentions were as murky as the darkest corners of the web. Stories of shadowy individuals appearing in photos, lurking in the background of unsuspecting lives. Sarah's heart raced as she read accounts of unnerving messages from anonymous sources that seemed to know intimate details of users' lives. One particular story chilled her to the bone. A user named Cypher described a series of events that began innocently with a random online chat. Gradually, the stranger revealed an uncanny familiarity with Cypher's life, the layout of their apartment, their daily routine, even their most closely guarded secrets. The hair on the back of Sarah's neck stood on end as she read how Cypher's sense of reality began to crumble. Consumed by paranoia and fear, drawn into the disturbing narratives, Sarah formed connections with other users, each sharing their own unsettling experiences. The screen became a portal to a world where the line between reality and delusion blurred, and the pervasive feeling of being watched crept into Sarah's own life. She started noticing unfamiliar faces in the background of her photos, strangers who seemed to linger just beyond her field of vision. One fateful night, Sarah received a private message from an unfamiliar username Watcher-in-Thyers. The message was brief, a chilling whisper that read, "You're not alone." Goosebumps prickled her skin as she stared at the screen, her heart hammering in her chest. She hesitated, then typed a shaky response, asking for more information. The response came quickly, a single sentence that sent a cold shiver down her spine. "We see what you see." Days turned into weeks, and Sarah's obsession with the enigmatic figures grew. She dug deeper, piecing together cryptic clues and obscure hints from the online community. Sleep became elusive, her waking hours consumed by a twisted puzzle that had no clear solution. Shadows danced at the edge of her vision, and the feeling of being constantly observed became a haunting presence. One moonless night, a knock echoed through Sarah's apartment. Her heart raced as she approached the door, peering through the peephole. A figure stood outside, their face obscured by darkness. Panic surged within her, the realization sinking in that the digital had spilled into the real. She retreated, fingers trembling as she clutched her phone. A new message notification blinked on her screen, the sender's name sending a wave of dread crashing over her Watcher-in-Thyers. The message was simple, yet it carried an ominous weight. Time to face what you've uncovered. With trembling hands, Sarah opened her laptop one last time, her heart pounding in her chest. A countdown timer appeared on the screen, its relentless march echoing the seconds of her life slipping away. Desperation and fear mingled as realization dawned the answers she sought were not just digital, they were intertwined with her reality. As the timer reached 0, darkness enveloped her. The click-clack of the keyboard reverberated through the dimly lit room as Alex delved deeper into the labyrinthine expanse of the dark web. The screen flickered with a cold, eerie light as they ventured further into the digital underworld. What began as idle curiosity soon evolved into an obsession, a relentless need to uncover the secrets hidden within the encrypted shadows. Thread after thread led Alex down a rabbit hole of chilling stories and enigmatic encounters. The usernames were cryptic, the tales even more so. A user named Whispered Secrets recounted their experience, stumbling upon a website that displayed unsettling photographs of people, each unaware that they were being watched. The accompanying captions seemed to know the subjects intimately, as if peering into their very souls. Another user, No Escape, shared a chilling account of receiving anonymous messages that detailed their daily life with an uncanny accuracy. These messages painted a portrait so vivid that paranoia and anxiety gripped No Escape, blurring the boundaries between what was real and what wasn't. Fascination turned to obsession, and Alex found themselves unable to tear away from the haunting narratives. They began to interact with the denizens of the dark web, seeking out those who shared their unsettling experiences. As connections formed, so did a sense of impending doom, a feeling that each click brought them closer to a darkness they couldn't escape. Late one night, Alex received a private message from a user named Ciphered Gaze. The message was short, yet it sent shivers down their spine. "Seek the weaver in the threads." Intrigued and apprehensive, Alex replied, demanding answers. The response was cryptic, a set of coordinates and a time and invitation to something beyond the digital realm. With a mix of trepidation and morbid curiosity, Alex followed the instructions. They found themselves standing before an abandoned warehouse, the air thick with foreboding. Inside, a makeshift meeting room was illuminated by flickering candles. Figures cloaked in darkness occupied the space, their identities shrouded. Ciphered Gaze stood at the center, their eyes concealed by a mask. As they spoke, their words wove a web of cryptic riddles and unsettling truths. The gathering revolved around whispers of control, manipulation, and the sinister power of information. Alex's heart raced as Ciphered Gaze seemed to reveal secrets they had never dared share. Time warped within the confines of the warehouse, and Alex's grip on reality began to waver. Whispers of paranoia grew louder. Shadows danced in their periphery, and the boundary between the virtual and real world blurred into an unsettling fusion. The line that once separated digital from physical shattered, and Alex's sense of self unraveled like a thread slipping from a loom. Days turned into nights, and Alex's life became a kaleidoscope of unsettling visions. Stranger faces appeared in the corners of photographs. Anonymous messages taunted their every move, and the feeling of being watched never waned. The digital dread bled into every facet of their existence, turning once familiar spaces into haunting battlegrounds of the mind. As weeks turned into a nightmarish eternity, Alex found themselves at a crossroads. The desire to escape the suffocating grip of the dark web clashed with the overwhelming pull of its mysteries. A choice had to be made to sever the ties that bound them to the abyss, or to embrace the shadows and risk losing themselves entirely. In the end, as the world teetered on the brink of collapse, Alex faced the weaver in the threads. The answer they sought wasn't found in the digital realm, but within the depths of their own psyche. The threads of paranoia, curiosity, and fear were tightly intertwined, and it was up to Alex to unravel them, even if it meant facing the horrors they had unleashed. The glow of the computer screen cast a cold pallor across the room as Emily stared into the abyss of the dark web. With each click, her heartbeat quickened, a mix of fascination and apprehension coursing through her veins. It started as a casual exploration, a harmless peek into the underbelly of the internet, but it soon spiraled into something far more sinister. Threads and forums sprawled before her, a digital jungle of secrets and whispers. Dark Secrets Exposed caught her eye a forum, filled with tales of unsettling encounters and disturbing figures. One user recounted a chance encounter with a stranger who seemed to know every intimate detail of their life. Another spoke of being followed by shadowy figures, their presence hovering at the edge of their perception. Curiosity gnawed at Emily, pulling her deeper into the virtual abyss. She read tales of paranoia and deception, stories that made her skin crawl and her pulse quicken. The allure of the unknown drew her in, an insatiable need to uncover the truth behind the tales that seemed to straddle the line between reality and fiction. As days turned into nights, Emily's obsession grew. She connected with others who shared her fascination, forging digital bonds with those who had walked the thin line between curiosity and danger. The screen became her portal to a world where shadows danced, and every corner seemed to hold a hidden truth. One evening, Emily received a private message from a user named Veilwarden. The message was cryptic, hinting at secrets that only she could unravel. The conversation led to a virtual meeting, where Veilwarden unveiled a chilling proposition, an invitation to a gathering where the darkest secrets of the dark web would be exposed. The appointed day arrived, and Emily found herself in a dimly lit room, surrounded by masked figures. The atmosphere was heavy with anticipation, and a projector illuminated the screen, revealing images that froze Emily's blood. Photographs of her own life, her apartment, her workplace, her friends played in succession, accompanied by unsettling whispers that seemed to crawl under her skin. Veilwarden stood before the assembly, their voice echoing through the room. They spoke of control, manipulation, and the fragility of privacy in the digital age. Emily's unease deepened, the revelation of her own vulnerability a paralyzing realization. She was no longer an observer, but a pawn in a game she couldn't comprehend. Desperation clawed at her as she fled the room, the chilling whispers of the gathering echoing in her ears. The screen that had once been a portal to fascination had become a portal to her own undoing. She disconnected from the dark web, wiped her digital traces, and sealed herself off from the sinister world she had stumbled upon. But the paranoia lingered. Emily's mind became a battleground of doubt and fear. Strangers seemed sinister, familiar faces became suspects, and the boundaries of reality blurred. Shadows danced at the periphery of her vision, and the line between online and offline began to dissolve. As Emily's grip on reality slipped, she realized that the darkest corners of the dark web weren't just digital. They were reflections of her own psyche. The threads of her curiosity and paranoia had woven a tapestry of dread that threatened to consume her. The sinister figures she had encountered were manifestations of her own fears, a mirror to her own vulnerability.